Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? You doing all right? I hope you are. If you don't know me, my name's Elliot. I'm the associate minister here at the Cove. I'm thrilled to be here with you this morning as we continue on our series called Meant for More. We're talking about this idea that God has a calling for your life. And I just want to take a second as we begin and welcome you here, whether you're with us in the room right now or whether you're joining us on the stream. We're so thankful that you've taken some time to have this conversation with us today. And as we begin, I need to ask you, do you remember what your first car was? Do you remember where you learned how to drive? If you're on the stream right now, go ahead and let me know. Go ahead and type that in the comments. What was your first car and where did you learn how to drive? For me, it was a 1991 Dodge Shadow convertible soft top that leaked every time it rained on my way to Boston Market. You know what I'm talking about? It was something special, man, I'll tell you that. And I learned to drive in Vero Beach, Florida, which honestly is cheating because if you've never been to Vero Beach, it's a big flat grid, okay? There are not even street names in Vero Beach. Everything is numbered, and it's really great because the avenues go one way, the streets go another, so as long as you can do math, you can't get lost, you know what I mean? And so if I'm going toward the water, I'm going east. If I turn left, I'm going north, which is good for somebody like me because I'm what you call directionally challenged. Anybody else besides me? There's like 3 people willing to admit this. That's fine. Just me by myself. Cool. And so it was working out pretty good, and I felt pretty good about myself until we moved to the west coast of Florida, and everything was backwards, and I was lost all the time. Ask Abby. She used to give me a hard time because now if I'm going towards the water, I'm going west, and if I turn left, I'm going south, and it was a big problem. So can we just make an agreement together? If you're talking to me about where we're going, you want me to meet you somewhere, do not tell me to turn west ever. Don't do that. Tell me where we're going and where it is in relationship to Buffalo Wild Wings. And I promise you, we'll get there because I do know where that is. I can tell you that right now. And I know I'm doing pretty good here in Jacksonville now because I don't have to use the GPS for everything anymore. I did for a little bit, but now it's lessening quite a bit. But when I use the GPS, maybe you do this too, I'm always and forever looking at it, all the time. I don't wait on Siri to tell me when to turn because half the time she tells me too late. And so I'm always looking at the GPS and not just because I want to beat the estimated arrival time. How many of you do that too? You're like, 30 minutes? Nah, I can do better than that. I can get there in 20. We're going to do it today. Yeah, not just because of that, but also because I hate feeling lost. I don't like it. I want to know where we're going. I want to know how we're going to get there. I want to know how long it's going to take. Give me the details, but how many of you know that life doesn't come with turn by turn? Life doesn't come with turn by turn, and I wish it did. I mean, how many of us, if we asked you 15 years ago where you'd be right now today, how many of you get it right? And not just where you're sitting right now, but all the little paths that you took, all the little side roads on the way. How many of you get it even close to right? Nobody, probably. Not me, for sure. And it's a little bit frustrating because we don't know what life is going to throw at us, do we? We don't know when there's an unexpected pregnancy or a move or a job change or, a global pandemic. You don't know what's coming. And we make plans because we feel like we're supposed to, right? But we've learned to write everything in pencil because sometimes it feels like we're just throwing stuff on the calendar and hoping for the best, doesn't it? And the thing that's frustrating to me is that as a follower of Jesus, he doesn't tell me what's coming up because he already knows. He already knows what's coming, right? We talk about all the time that God is omniscient. That means he knows everything that's going to happen, but he can't fill me in a little bit, just give me a little bit of a hint as to what's coming next. But he doesn't do that. He asks us to follow him, but he rarely gives us the details of the plan. Have you noticed? He says, just follow me, just trust me, we're going to go. And I said, well, where are we going? He said, don't worry about it. I'll tell you when we get there. And that, for me, it's a little bit frustrating. And maybe you found that to be frustrating in your life too. I just want you to know that you're not the only one. But the deal is this, that's not how God works, is it? It's not how he works now. And to be honest with you, he's never really worked that way. I mean, ask Moses. When they left Egypt, do you remember? They had to leave because the plague of death had just come through. The Egyptians were mourning the loss of their firstborn children. Israel takes off. Moses is leading 1 million+ people out towards the Red Sea in the middle of the night. But you know what God didn't do? He didn't airdrop directions to Moses' iPhone so that Siri could give him the turn by turn. Instead, here's what we read in Exodus. It says this, by day, the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Now, neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. And on the one hand, that's a really cool way to travel, right? Because some of us were like, I just want to know if I'm going where God wants me to go. And they're like, well, he's right there, so I guess we're still on the right track. As long as we follow that giant flaming ball of fire, I guess we're still on the right path. So that's pretty cool. On the other hand, they didn't know where they were going, did they? They were step by step. Just follow this wherever it goes. When it stops, we stop. And maybe you're like me. After a while, that gets a little bit frustrating. Have you ever wondered why God did it that way? And why he used the things that he used? I don't know if you've noticed this, but throughout Scripture, we see the presence of God represented by clouds, don't we? You remember when the temple was dedicated? What happened? A big cloud descended on it and filled it, didn't it? And that was to signify that the presence of God was in this place. And you remember when Jesus rose from the dead? He rose up to heaven and he ascended on what? He ascended on a cloud, didn't he? And you remember what the angels told the apostles? He said, don't worry, when Jesus comes back, he's going to come back the same way that he left. So that means when Jesus comes back, he's going to be riding on a cloud. And throughout Scripture, we see this. And if clouds represent God's power and his presence and his care, then fire shows a totally different side of God, doesn't it? It's not just a nightlight so they can see where they're going. Okay? Fire shows strength, it shows protection, it shows guidance, but fire has a little bit of danger to it too, doesn't it? And the people of Israel, they weren't even close to being out of danger. Sure, they were following God, but there was still a lot of problems that they were going to face in the road ahead. And they're traveling sometimes at night. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but so many times when we're following God, it feels like we're just groping around in the dark. Anybody felt this way besides me? Sometimes we're going, I don't know what to do. And when those moments come, I want to encourage you to do what the people of Israel did. They followed the fire. And what does that mean? Well, following the fire means that we need to look to God for direction and stop putting all the pressure on ourselves to get where we need to go. Because I know that if I'm following God and he's placed this calling on my life and I want to follow him, then he's going to lead me where he wants me to go. So I need to learn to trust in him. That's why in Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6, it says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. It's beautiful and we know it's true and we believe it's true, but sometimes we don't feel it's true, do we? Because sometimes when you're following God, it feels like the path is anything but straight, doesn't it? Because like we talked about last week, one of the hallmarks of following the fire or following God is facing resistance. It feels like there's people in our way and there's problems and there's things. It's almost like we have an enemy that doesn't want us to get where we need to go, which really shouldn't be all that surprising to us, because in 1 Peter 5:8 it says, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. And I think Moses understood this better than most, don't you? Because he gets all these people out of Egypt, and they start going, and it's going okay. They're following the fire. They're doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, Pharaoh changes his mind and starts running them down in the middle of the night. You remember what it says in Exodus? It says, when the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, what have we done? We've let the Israelites go and have lost their services. So he had his chariot made ready, and he took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi-hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. I need to point out something. The Israelites didn't know what was going to happen next. Maybe you know what's going to happen next because you've read or heard this before. But they were living in real time. They did not know that big pillar was going to move in between them and the Egyptians. They didn't know, spoiler alert, that the Red Sea was getting ready to split in two and that they were going to walk across on dry ground. They didn't know any of that. What they did know is that the people who had enslaved them for 400 years were hot on their tails and they were mad. And they were mourning the death of the children who you think they were blaming for it. They knew that their life was about to go from bad to worse. And sure, the people of Israel, they were following God's lead. But far from feeling safer, it feels like moment by moment, following God is getting more dangerous. And sometimes following God's lead feels a whole lot more like running for your life than it does a leisurely walk with a friend. Have you noticed? And it's in those moments when things aren't going the way that I think they should go, that I start to get really frustrated with God. Because I trusted you to lead me, and now you're taking me these places I didn't want to go. And it's in these moments I need somebody to come alongside me and remind me of why I started following the fire in the first place. You see, you started following because you realized that you couldn't get where you wanted to go on your own, and you trusted God to take you to a place that you couldn't get to by yourself. But somewhere along the way, somewhere between Egypt and the shores of the Red Sea, we forget who's leading, don't we? And we want to reach over, we want to grab the wheel back, and then we get frustrated because God's taken us some places that we wouldn't have picked for ourselves. But I have to tell you something this morning. God's not interested in being your travel consultant. He's not. What's a travel consultant do? They help you get where you want to go in a way that is comfortable for you, right? But that's not what following Jesus is about, is it? When I decided to follow Jesus, I gave up the right to select the destination. And by the way, the route isn't up for discussion either. And the same is true for you. If Jesus is Lord of your life, you've released the right to select the destination. And sure, you know where you're going to ultimately end up. We do. And it's going to be incredible. It's going to be amazing to be in the presence of Jesus for eternity. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. But in the meantime, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. I don't know the path he's going to lead me on the way. And neither do you. And that's why we get frustrated, isn't it? Because God doesn't give you the entire plan. Instead, he gives you step-by-step directions. More accurately, he gives you the next step, doesn't he? Just do this today, and come back, and we'll talk again tomorrow. And sometimes my ego gets a little inflated, and I'm like, but I could help. I could give some input in this and make it a little bit smoother trip. I mean, who signs up for something like this? Who signs up to follow somebody who says, I just need you to trust me. I know what I'm doing. And you say, where are we going? He said, just trust me. I know what I'm doing. But how are we going to get there? Just trust me. I know. Who signs up for this? The short answer is somebody who trusts God. And somebody who understands the situation from which they've been rescued. Somebody who understands that before Jesus, you were a slave to sin. And the only reason that the chains that bound you to sin are broken don't have anything to do with what you've done. Not one thing. It has to do with what he's done. Because Jesus came from heaven, lived a perfect life, and gave that life for you and for me so that we could be set free from the chains that bound us. And sometimes I need somebody to remind me of that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I would love to chat with you about that. If you're here with us in the room, in just a little bit when the service is over, I'm going to be standing right down here. I'd love to talk with you about what it means to know Jesus. If you're joining us on the stream, I would love to talk with you as well. Go ahead and email us at hello@swisscovechristian.com. This is the most important decision you can make in your lifetime. But if you've been a Christian for a while, Sometimes you get frustrated because God's not taking you the direction that you want to go, and you need to be reminded of where you come. You know what the problem is? The problem is this. We trust God with our eternities, but we don't trust him with today. And I came here today to tell you, you can't have it both ways. If you can trust God with eternity, you can trust him with today, don't you think? If you can trust God with eternity, you can trust him with today. And I know it's a lot easier to stand up here and say it than it is to live it. It's a whole lot easier to say it on Sunday than it is to live it on Thursday night. I get it. I'm in the same boat with you. And I still get frustrated, and I don't do this perfectly either. But can I share with you something that's really been helping me with this lately? Is this. There are some things I haven't told my children yet. Not because I don't love them, but because I do. There are things that they don't know about yet, that Dad is protecting them from, not because I don't love them, but because I do. And I want to ask you a question. What do you think Moses' reaction would have been if God had laid it all out for him at the burning bush? You remember there's a whole chapter where he's arguing with God about whether he's going to go or not, and all he said was, you're going to lead the people out of Egypt. Can you imagine what Moses' reaction would have been if God would have told him, hey, you're going to go, you're almost going to die on the way, but your wife's going to save your life, and then you're going to get there, and Pharaoh's going to say no, and the people are going to hate you. Then all these plagues are going to break out. You're going to have to paint some blood on the door frames. You're going to steal a bunch of stuff in the middle of the night. Then you're going to lead these people out, but then they're going to chase you down and try to kill you again. What do you think Moses' reaction is going to be to that? Can you imagine Moses shows up and tells the people of Israel, here's what God says is going to happen. They said, get out of here with your bush. Don't come back. We're staying right here. I don't know about you, but I've noticed in my life that faith builds over time. That faith is built moment by moment, time over time. That faith builds on itself. And if you had told me 15 years ago all the things that were going to happen in my life to get to this point now, all the hurt and all the pain and all the blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice, all that stuff, I said, no, thank you, I'm out. Find somebody else to do it. And if I had said that, I'd have missed out on the greatest joys of my life. But what I'm learning and what I'm still learning is that God knows what's best for me even better than I do. And yeah, he takes me on some places that I wouldn't pick to go all by myself. If it were up to me, there are a lot of things that have happened in my life that wouldn't have happened. But I can tell you this. You can trust God no matter what. Because he's taken me through these things in order to shape me into the man that he wants me to be. And he ain't done yet, praise God. And I know that I can say the same thing is true in your life. So what it comes down to when we boil it all the way down to one question, it's this. Do you trust God enough to lead him wherever he wants to take you? Do you trust God enough to lead him wherever he wants to take you? I wonder if you'd be bold enough to pray this prayer with me this week. Father, I trust you. Lead me wherever you want me to go today. I'm yours, no reservations. Lead me wherever you want me to go. I'm yours. No reservations. I hope that you pray that prayer, but I need to warn you before you do, he might just take you up on it. So be careful. He might take you some places you didn't intend to go. He might put you in some situations that you wouldn't have chosen for yourself. In fact, you can count on that. So I don't know what you're going to do with that. I can't answer that question for you. I hope that you'll come with me. I hope that you'll follow the fire. And if you come with me, here's what's going to happen. We're going to trust our Father to lead us, and we're going to leave the how up to him. We're going to leave the how up to him. And there's going to be times that we wish we weren't on this road together. There's going to be times when it's going to be really, really hard. And that's when we need each other. That's when I need somebody to put their arm around me and say, Elliot, you remember why we started this path together, right? I know that you can trust God with your future because, Elliot, I've seen him do this and this and this in your life. How many of you need that in your life too? I know I need that. That's why we say we're in this together. We need each other. We weren't meant to do life or faith alone, but we know that God is still working in our lives. And we know that the same God who led the people out of Egypt and toward the promised land is the same God that's with us in this place, in this moment, right now. Am I the only one that believes that? I know he's with us. And I know we can trust him. I don't know where we're going. I'm just along for the ride. And I hope that you'll come with me, because I know that when we follow the fire, our God is taking us places that's better than we could ever imagine. And we know where we're going to end up, don't we? In the presence of Jesus for eternity. And that's why we want to bring as many people with us as possible. So my prayer for you is that you'll be able to pray honestly. God, I'm yours. Lead me wherever you want to go. No reservations. Not holding anything back. I'm with you.